Good morning, everyone. It's a lovely day here in South Georgia. We started off at 37 degrees this morning, and it was 50 right now whenever I walked out. And it feels nice to an old fat man. I just wanted to hit on something that has been on my mind for a while now with all the news and everything about the Dreamers. It's funny to me the way Trump despises all the immigrants and everything, and uh, yet has married several. And it's just amazing some of the crap that he can come up with. But immigrants haven't hurt me in any way, shape, or form that I know of or can see. It's not taking anything away from my life or my property or anyone that I know of. And personally, like I said, you read stories and all that, but his stuff about in the State of the Union address talking about the gang. Well, there was a gang that voted for him, KKK, and they're okay in his opinion and all that. Well, I kind of think they're kind of violent myself, hanging people and such shit. But like I said, just to take from an old man that, uh, what do I know? I know that uh, these people have not done any harm that I know of in our country. Yes, there's some violence, but there's violence in every group of people there is on the world. And to discriminate, and that's what it is, in my opinion, against immigrants and using them as a pawn, as he is doing, to try to force legislation to build a wall that we don't need. And on his wall, he's asked for billions of dollars to go to the military. Well, that's well and fine. Our military, I was in the Army, I served my country, and that I feel gave me the right to make these little videos and say what I feel about his crap. And we don't really need a wall. People have been migrating for 10,000 years back and to over that border. The animals even longer than that, and as I've said in other videos, I enjoy watching PBS. I love my nature programs and uh, other documentaries and all that. And there was a really good show a while back about uh, so many species of animals that need to be free to be able to cross that border for um, passing generic material back into between the species and not isolating some of them and what have you. And uh, he wants to do with the military. What I'd suggest is bringing all those boys home from over in Afghanistan and Iraq and wherever else we may have some troops that are not doing any real good, in my opinion. Some of this talk about, well, we're supposed to be training Iraqis and Afghanis and whatever. It surprised me whenever I was in the Army. I got 2 months basic training, then I got 2 months of training on my job skill, which was aircraft aviation armament systems, hydraulics and electronics, and working on the guns. And 4 months, and I was ready for field duty. Well, we've been there something like 16 years in Afghanistan now, and if them boys ain't ready to take it on their own, get their asses kicked. I don't know. But if he bring all those troops home, and he could set them every 50 yards along that border, it's only, what, a couple thousand miles, and so we could space them out about every 50 yards, and they could put them troops and uh, just have them stationed on the border. Ain't no sense in building a wall. Put them on active duty there along that wall. But if we're going to build walls, uh, an old feller back in the 30s, he was in and all. He was building walls along a coast, the west coast of Europe, and so maybe Trump's trying to protect himself. He feels like somebody's going to invade him or something, and I don't know. I just don't see all this wall and separating people and species and such. But Canada's up there, and we're just as likely to get terrorists. And there's been, several stopped now with bombs in their trunks and what have you coming across the Canadian border. And they're constantly getting drugs that are coming across the Canadian border. So with his philosophy, we're going to always be building damn walls. And there's just as much that comes in. I watched a Ken Burns program on the prohibition the other day of bootlegging, and bootlegging coming up from the Caribbean. All that came right here into Savannah, Georgia, and all up and down the East Coast. So we better build a wall there too. And because I do know that, whenever I worked in Brunswick with mosquito control, hell, a shrimp boat had sunk and bales of pot was washing ashore, so we know it's coming in there. We better wall up Jekyll Island and all along the Atlantic coast while we're building walls, because that's something you're just not going to stop. And spending billions of dollars on a damn wall ain't going to help the situation. What you need to do is just legalize the shit, tax it, help the people that's strung out on junk, and get on with life. Just a take from an old man. Good morning, all. Blessings.